One thing, bro, your stock selection is really, really good, whether we like it or not. And unfortunately, what I have seen from my experience, people that have a lot of knowledge tend to have the performance does not tend to be high, whether that's high conviction or whatever the reason. I thought about if I was in your shoes and my stock selection was good, what would be a good strategy? It's gonna sound effed up, but really entering on like a variable, whatever the variable is, like confirmation is what's killing you. So that's killing you. How do you offset that? You put some really stupid rules such as a 30% stop or a 32% stop off the entry, and given your stock selection is good.
Well, actually, so I was actually gonna post some notes that I was going through all my trades in the last year, basically, and I would actually do a lot better if I used a tighter stop because I use high a day, which a lot of times is pretty far away. But you'll notice that when I'm getting in, oftentimes it's going in my favor pretty quickly, and then I move my stop anyways. So what ends up happening is the amount I'm actually effectively risking is way lower, you know? So I think I'm going to start using a tighter stop. It might hurt the win rate a little bit, but the risk reward will be good.
I think the problem, what I would say to calculate is how much you're gaining per trade. When I put your strategy into Flash and you have to lose 10% slippage because it's based on the profit it's based on the profit, it's not based on position sizing. The lack of range really kills the play. And that's if you have perfect execution, and we know we don't. When I looked at your charts over multiple months and I discussed it and with myself a few times and also with other people just to see how can I, and I do that with all the traders, and I'm always like, what could be done better? There's a lot of human errors where you're stopping out at the top tick. Don't take offense to this because I've done it myself too. If you were to put your entry where your stop is, your execution would be way better. So, but that's a really tough thing to do. So
You're talking about when I get stopped out. Well, yeah, I think you're talking about like getting back in though, was the thing.
Yeah, similar concept. Like the one thing you have such a sexy edge in is if somebody could, all of your stocks, they always fade. Do you agree with that statement or?
That they always fade?
A
No.
large part of the times. I would say 80% of the times, your stock selection, 85% of the times they fade. Look at your charts. Look at how many of them run against you.
Yeah, no, not a lot. That's why I was saying that when I'm getting in, like my stop is probably too high, honestly, against where I'm getting, because the whole thing is that yes, I know that like statistically it's good to like risk high a day, but the way I trade when I'm getting on something, I'm pretty much betting that it's not gonna reclaim or come back at all. So you'll notice that it'll move on my favor, and then if it does come back, it usually is a pain in the ass anyways. So like it might as well just use a tighter stop, and then if it stops me out, like yeah, I can get back in, but I don't think there's a reason to risk as wide as I do. If you look at the lines I draw where my stop would have been, and it's too wide, honestly. It doesn't need to be that wide. The win rate probably actually would be the same or similar if I used a lower stop.
You have a valid point in that aspect because when you often the way you're trading is you're waiting for a confirmation and then you're entering.
So like what I've been trying to do, or what I want to do, is getting in earlier with the wider stop, but then if it does go and I do get my confirmation entry, then I can tighten my stop a little bit with more size, and that way I can make more per trade with like a better risk reward, you know?
That is if we're in a cycle of bullish, or if we're in a cycle of weaker or neutral or bullish. What will happen is you'll get stop hunted very often. When I looked at all your charts, you are right. The stops is far away, but so many times you just stop out and the stock goes in your way. Stop out and the stock goes in your way. How do you offset that? You could have a tighter stop, as you mentioned, or you could have a really wider stop. When I looked at all your charts, and I was like, hypothetically, as bad as it sounds, and as newbie-ish as it sounds, everybody's different. Everybody has a different trading strength, different trading style. If you were to put a 30%, 32% stop, given your stock selection is good, very few of them will go there. And the average gain per trade, if you hold to close, is probably like 25% or something like that. And you will be at like 80% plus accuracy. But when you're in a bullish cycle, it can adjust. Just a thought. Just take a look at it. I don't want to hold up the team. I want to start, but we can talk about it after, but just food for thought. Okay, amigos. Today's Mother's Day, so we're going to be nice and precise. And I posted in I'm going to screen share. We're going to do the same structure in here. market sentiment, biggest opportunities, and then we will go from there. And if you don't have your trades and things like that, just take a look at it, please. Find your best trades, worst trades, and best opportunities or missed opportunities. So these are the settings that I'm kind of using for flash research. A stock with a range and a minimum thing, but let me change the filters. We are April 11th, wide and 11th. So then we'll go May 4th. Just a heads up, market has been super tough for everybody, and you can see the average range is more. I hear an echo. Is that? So these are the variables we'll go over. Let's quickly go over what is our anticipated BS perspective. BS, non-BS, I don't know. What's our perspective in the week coming forward? Do you guys think we're going to be bullish, bearish, neutral? Any thoughts? Start with JJ.
I mean, we're getting to the point in the cycle where I think we're getting in the later point of the cycle, right? Because things are going wild, but like what happens is, like the way the cycle begins is you get faders, then you have faders that start kind of holding up, and then you got one that kind of holds up and then squeezes, and then you got others that kind of slower squeeze. And then what happens is the moves start happening quicker and quicker, and the earlier the big blow off happens, and the better you start getting fades. So I think we're getting into that point in the cycle. So I think you had mentioned it too, that we're probably getting into the point where we might get some really big fades, because even the end of day Friday, you guys saw, I think it was like ABTS, and then if you guys are around after hours, that YHC stock I was talking about, these things just like went like 200% in like a very short period of time, you know? So I feel like on tomorrow, if we get those types of moves, might get some really big unwinders. I think shorts are pretty beat up at this point. So
Okay.
That's what I think.
So you're saying bullish now, but bearish very soon, right around the corner. Okay.
Yeah.
Brother
Yeah.
Abel, you're muted if you're.
Yeah, I think it's the same. You know, I think it's very bullish right now. It's gonna keep being the same, and yeah, I don't know when it's gonna finish the sector momentum for the Bitcoins stuff. So I think that it's a time right now to still be defensive a bit, and be very selective, like JJ tends to be. If there's something related with this Bitcoin, you just need to be careful if
Okay.
you really want to put size, I think.
Good point. So bullish, definitely in Bitcoin sector. Stay away. Stop trying to pick the top. Be more selective. A quick question: if somebody is 2-3 days red daily max loss, would you say to keep it or would you say to reduce it? Abel.
To reduce the size, you mean?
If somebody has taken 2-3 daily max loss back to back, should they reduce it?
I would say, reduce size and just go back to basics, basically. Be more selective with the trades
JJ,
and
what
be
about
very
you?
picky.
Would you say to reduce it or to keep the risk the same? Because I'm conflicted in this. Brother James, stop watching pornography, brother. Not on Sunday recaps. Those are Saturday recaps, brother. If somebody hit 2 daily max loss, 3 daily max loss past few days, one of the conflicts that I have in my head is, should that person reduce their daily max loss or try to keep it because we're right around the corner?
I don't know. Okay. This isn't something I've been like that great at. I mean, I personally would probably be more conservative. I probably would even lower it, just because, I mean, yeah, you're right, but there's also that you get into that dangerous mindset where it's like, well, the next trade's going to be like, I got to go bigger on these ones, and then you can kind of like compound it even worse. So I don't know. I think it's more depends on the person than like a general rule, So yeah.
Brother Lucas, can you turn your camera on, please?
Yo, what's up, guys? I don't have my laptop with me. I was moving this week. This week I was moving to the new place, and I have my computer, my laptop in another place. I don't have a camera in my main computer.
Okay, no problem. Let me ask Brother Martin, because we're going to go in a row. Brother Martin, where are we at in cycle? I know you.
Yeah, I mean, this week was very trappy and strong. I mean, regarding next week, how it will be, we can all just guess, and I like what Jason said, that maybe this theme will weaken the next few days, especially this crypto bullshit theme, and the rest of them. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to know. What I noticed is I think there are a new group of big long traders who are really good in exploiting and trapping shorts. And this is what I noticed the past 2-3 weeks. They are making life more difficult for us. They have a lot of buying power, it seems, and they are making a lot of money off of us shorts who are shorting and adding into weakness. And I think they're here to stay as long as this as long as this pattern works for them.
Yes, a lot of rigging. To summarize, unclear about the future, but they avoid the Bitcoin related names. Bullish so far, but unsure about the next week, right? Is
Yeah.
that correct? Awesome. Brother Lucas, what's your take on next week's potential gamble thought process on here? We should have a little vote in the gamble. I don't know, the winner gets something or gets it right or something. Or at least have a vote. That might not be a bad idea. That might not.
We're gonna have like a bullish or bearish sentiment.
Yep.
I think with the sector momentum about any stock having a PR related with Bitcoin, I think it's gonna be. I'm not sure because we have this week. Like I've seen this week a lot of shorts lost money in the last couple days. So I'm not sure if that will make more easier next week, or if we're gonna continue with the bullish momentum of any stock related with Bitcoin.
Okay. Outside of Bitcoin, you're not sure about the market sentiment in small cap?
Yeah,
No
like
education.
yeah, right now I'm not sure if we're gonna have like it's because it has been tricky. Like we seen like so many pre-market traders, but also stocks that are very very strong midday and yeah, like right now I'm not sure. I don't have an opinion right now on how it's gonna be.
Okay. My take. I think a lot of shorts have had a tough time in the past few weeks, and it is a potential tipping point. I think I love that we all kind of discussed where, and it is trader based. Like one aspect is trader based on mental. The other one is market sentiment. If anybody that hasn't hit like 2-3 day daily max loss in a row, as effed up as it may sound, I think you need to increase. I think I would, and I'm going to increase risk per trade off of the open, especially on days that you have multiple gappers. I think that's the secret sauce, quote unquote. That's not a secret, but when you have bigger, like 2-3 gappers, 80%, 4-5 of them, try to go after the weaker one. And I think I tagged, and as JJ says, I posted that. And I also posted, don't fight the strongest one, go for the weakest one. And it would be a really good transition that without being a bit biased, those ones really had a 30-40% fade. I think on Friday we had 3-4 names that faded 50-60%. So we are on that tipping point, in my opinion. And I am screen sharing, so I think it would be a really good segue to go into this. Are you guys able to see the stream?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I was taking a note before today. These were the names that I think had a really nice fade, and I'm sure when I look at this, we could see that it will have. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go over the top 3-4 faders, and we're gonna go over how we could have capitalized on it if there was any technical patterns. So this name faded 43% MLGO, and this was Monday.
That was really good. Very small gap though, right?
Oh yeah, this one's a hard one. Yeah, MLG, I didn't see that. WGRF, fade. I don't know. You guys tell me if you guys notice any pattern behavior. Fade off the open. Gap is really low. Gap is low. 41. Okay, so the lower gap's what I'm noticing. To my surprise, is fading really hard. I guess maybe that's the one that nobody pays attention to. I didn't know that till I just did this right now. So this one.
Which one doesn't pay attention to?
Okay, so what am I searching by? Return, change. MLGO, I'm looking at the gap and the percent. I don't think there's anything, just fades right off the open. And I'm seeing a pattern that they are lower gaps. What would be useful is if I pull up trading. So which last few? Wow, that's interesting. AGO, let's see. Okay, that's not really, that one's can't really tell that one would have faded, I don't know. MLGO, could we have anticipated this?
They had a 424 B5 on the 8th.
Okay. So, but it faded on the 7th. So I don't know if we could have anticipated this. We have pushed pre-market really high. I guess you could. This is a setup. Goes up really high and then it fades up. But 10% gap is difficult.
Yeah.
If you guys notice a pattern, please speak up about it.
I think the pattern is buying Bitcoin things, stickers with Bitcoin.
Yes.
I'm joking, but yeah.
That makes sense. Hey, this is an interesting one. Do you remember back in the day, like in 2020, 2022, at 2 o'clock, it would go clear out the highs and fade? That's a sexy entry. Stops out. And that's what the riggers are doing. Okay, another thing that we can go over that I'm kind of curious by is on the 9th. How many gappers there were? Gap value, let's say we go 50%. On the 9th, there were 4 gappers. This is the one thing that it worked. The day that I was like, hey guys, there's gonna be a lot of gappers. It's a big possibility. W buy was a really, really good one. This one was the first time the structure got invalidated, was in here, which is previous high, low was broken. Could short this versus this or versus that, and then hold into the close. CKIN, SA from 40 to, this is a 50% fade. WGRX, 50% fade. 1, 2, 3. So 3 gappers this day, 2 of them faded. One of them, no, didn't do a stop hunt on the, okay, so there's stop hunts. No stop hunts. On the day that we have 1 or 2 gappers, SST was the only one running. C9 was the other one that faded. It was sub-dollar. What I noticed is, as I've said it like 3-4 times now, I think whenever we have multiple gappers, it's good to hit the weaker ones. It's important to hit the weaker ones. In terms of long, looking at the top 3, GPUS, ASS, they just push off of the open. There's no below VWAP trap. This one's a good one, I suppose. This would have definitely trapped a few shorts. And I could see some people trying to short this too. NCNA is nasty. Okay. What is your guys' takeaway?
I think if you want to figure out which tickers are more likely to fade than others, you have to not, I think it's difficult to just look on the chart and try to find patterns in the price action. I think there are other variables more important.
Like dilution?
Yeah, like hidden dilution. Some of these Chinese or exotic tickers, sometimes they have hidden dilution that is not even shown on dilution tracker, but often Jason is posting them, like a lockup expiration that is near or that is just coming, or some hidden clause in some warrant deals or convertible notes. This is a big factor. Of course, the float and the float to volume ratio, pre-market and first 15 to 30 minutes is also a big indicator. On Friday, for example, we had 2 tickers that had both a 3 million float. This NVVE and this what was the other one? Let me check.
On Friday?
Yeah, SYTA, right? They both had around 3 million float. And Arden and me, we were talking about this on voice that, we noticed the relative weakness of SYTA versus NVVE, both in the price action and also in the volume. Even though at the open, SYTA had more volume traded than NVVE. But after 20 minutes or so, you could see that the volume in SYTA was getting less and was below what NVVE was trading. So this is a good indicator. I think it's kind of relative strength, relative weakness. And one thing that's obvious is when you have a high float to volume ratio, a ticker after 30, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours, and so on, then it is way more likely that this ticker is getting rigged and then this is choppy and trappy. And it's a better playing field for these big long traders to trap shorts.
I want to add, yes, I agree with you 100%, but I want to start with the emphasis. I think just like when we are trading, us going through the technical analysis and see which one faded, it's like one surface level aspect. And then what we should do as a team is if we're like, hey, these top 2 faded this much because of dilution, and then we kind of have a discussion, the dilution is at the cashless warrants, because I think recently, I was thinking about this on weekend, the new dilution play is a lot more, revolves around cashless warrants because of the reverse split. There's been so many companies that are getting 200 million cashless warrants. I was looking at another company the other day. I don't want to go off topic, but the point is we look at the technicals and then we try to see. And then you brought up other very interesting variables. Basically what you're saying is volume projection calculations of the stock. Volume projection is lower in comparison to dilution in conjunction with the float, then it's a higher probability of fade. Yeah. So it's always, I think, at surface level. So anything like that comes up, do you have any names that you think super faded that you guys want to discuss?
I mean, SHP was a really, really good one. It just didn't have, or at least I didn't think it had a whole lot of meat left at the open, but it still faded another 50%. But this one was really good. Actually, I didn't even see it myself. Somebody in the chat brought it up, but they released their 10Q, which showed what their outstanding shares was, which basically revealed that they still had these 12 million pre-funded warrants that they bought at 30 cents that they hadn't sold yet, and we knew that for a fact because of the outstanding shares. that was released. So here it is sitting at like 70, 80 cents, and we know that they have 11 million shares that they bought at 30 cents that they could just sell for a profit. And on top of that, they're voting on a reverse split soon. So it's the last chance that they're going to have to sell them, right? Because once the stock splits, that's pretty much done. It's going to go to like 5 cents. So that was a really good one. It was hard to get in after it opened for me.
Yeah, hard to get in, especially at the open if you're not there in early pre-market 7.
Like if you go to the 2 minute or 1 minute, like it kind of gave an entry, but I don't know. Like it's just in hindsight, because I'm still not sure it's the best risk reward where it was, because their cost basis was 30 cents. So you couldn't really assume that they're going to be selling below that,
Exactly. Yeah. I would not say this was an A+ setup. It was a beautiful
Like
trade, but in real time it was not a great.
If it was like in the 50s or 60s, which I was watching it there when it was like under VWAP, but there was literally no bounce. I was just like waiting for some little push and fail, and it didn't do it. And I wanted to chase it, but I think in the long run, if I do, it's not going to work out. So I don't really regret it.
Yep.
I think the opposite. I think I would have shorted, and I actually did short it.
Where are you risking though?
You could do two risks. You could either do 61, give it some room to if it pushes into VWAP, and then you could short there, so it has to be a wide stop risk, and that would work. My conviction was the relative volume, and also that we had like 4 gappers, and yesterday a lot of shorts blew. So focusing on the weakest one, like herd.
Because also the other thing that kind of scared me was that just out of the blue spike move, like that makes you kind of, and that's probably also the reason why other shorts didn't get in it. That's kind of scary because it's just sitting there and all of a sudden it just like rips like 100% in like a couple minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So what other names were here that had variables? So we're looking for repetitive price action. One of them is like shorting off the open, or if it breaks a new high, midday range. Some technical behavior, some fundamental behavior. Does anybody have any 2 cents? Any other names that from dilution, from any perspective that we can kind of collect from?
I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of good plays fundamentally, other than a couple of those S1 offering ones that we played.
Which one were they?
I don't recall any ones that were like that great. These ones that I mentioned this many times before, but the ones that are about to reverse split are usually good faders. STI, CNEY. STI kind of came back. KTTA was the offering one. But I'm not really seeing anything else like that, at least that I personally traded from like a fundamental perspective.
So this price action reminds me of WBI was Chinese and difficult. So I think this pattern here is interesting. I could see shorts trying to short this candle, them getting stopped out, VWAP, push. I've seen this a few times. I think there was another ticker, and it started with an N, NCNA or something.
Yeah, NCNA.
Yeah, that was another offering one that came back.
Was it the day before?
Yeah, NCNA was on Monday.
But that price action, I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Where it pushes off the open and the structure becomes invalidated. I think this is a really, really good A+ setup. I don't know if these lines are gonna stay. So I'm looking at this structure like this. I could see the shorts entering here, having that stop, them stop hunting. If you're a really good trader, this would be difficult to enter here, but technically you could. So I'm below this and then risking this because it got stop hunted. Or this I've seen. And then if we compare this with WBY, very similar behavior in my opinion. So the structure in here, a lot of stop hunts, but something like this goes here and you could short below. This is iffy, but anytime it's below a structure, anytime it's below this, all these guys, all this volume is trapped above here, and then all this volume relatively, it goes here, they're gonna be like, oh shit, we gotta let go. I was short this as well, and I was actually short this exact in here, 24 or 20 or something, because of the structure. This gave a really good risk reward. So this is a technical setup, which is not the greatest. I don't usually like it. From a dilution perspective, I've seen a lot of 200% names, warrants. There's 2 things that I guess I would want to ask. One is, JJ, if you have any dug deeper into this cashless warrants. I'm assuming they're doing this because of the reverse split new rule, that if they reverse split a lot, they can only do it a few times a year. Number 2, ASST. Do we know what the heck is happening in ASST from like a back-end perspective?
I mean, it's just part of the crypto treasury theme. That's really what it is, what it comes down to.
Can you elaborate and educate us? Educate me.
So you got other ones that made massive moves, CEP. So they have this like MSTR type model where they raise capital through financings like ATMs and convertible notes, and then they buy Bitcoin. So CEP does it, JNVR does it, KIDZ does it. All those had those massive moves.
KIDs, and they're buying Bitcoin?
Right. Yeah. So they're all kind of trying to emulate MSTR. And then on top of that, with ASST, MSTR had a pretty massive move, as you can see there, and then Bitcoin had a pretty big move as well. So it was just, the sector was just strong. It was really strong.
Okay.
So there's nothing really else to look at other than that, to be honest. If the sector is going to be strong, then ASST is going to be strong. As simple as that.
Yeah. Me and Nathan were long MSTR at like 320s.
I mean, I said from a fundamental perspective, like we'll see an ATM come out. Honestly, I don't really trust that for like being a good short. I feel like they'll put out an ATM and it'll just like drop and then soak and then come right back up. So yeah, it's just like it's just like how you play the quantum names. Like they were dropping offerings left and right and the stocks weren't doing anything. They just come right back. So just the fundamentals just don't really matter.
Can you explain to us a little further on basically what I understood from MSTR is he was getting the loan at a low cost. Is that the only edge of doing an ATM through a public stock and then buying it, or why is it so beneficial?
We did an email on this. I honestly am forgetting exactly how it works, but I'd have to go back and look at it to explain. It's kind of like a mind bender how it works, how they basically sell stock from an ATM, right? So they sell shares and then they use the money that they raise to buy Bitcoin. And then their stock is trading at a higher premium compared to the net asset value of the Bitcoin they own. So that's a premium. So they're saying that they're creating value, but the value wouldn't be created unless people weren't paying up for the MSTR stock in the first place. So it's kind of this weird, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to look it up. It's kind of a mind bender how they justify that model and it working, but it works. I mean, as of right now, if you're a shareholder, it is benefiting you and you're seeing a return on that model.
Yeah, with MSTR, I think I did a deep dive on it too, as much as I understood. I think the one interesting point was the conversion clause or something. So the debt holders, if it hits a certain point, they get converted into shares, and it's basically the stock is the collateral equity. So if Bitcoin goes heavy, then you can short the shit out of these names, because not only is it going to go down because the value is going down, I think on top, these convertible holders that are holding it as collateral, I think they're looking at it as debt venture. So that's going to have a really strong sell-off if it triggers that risk threshold. But if it doesn't, then I guess they're happily holding, winning. I don't know. Did you take a look at it from that aspect?
Not really. I didn't really dive that deep into it. It honestly didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It was basically their stock price was justified because it was trading at a premium to Bitcoin, but it was only, I forget how I worded it. It's funny when you think about it. Like the stock price was justified because it was trading at a premium to Bitcoin, but it's only trading at a premium to Bitcoin because of people were buying up there. But if they weren't, then it wouldn't be. And so then the model wouldn't make sense. It's kind of hard to explain.
Arsenal posted your videos.
Yeah, well, these ones I just went over. I didn't go over the whole MSTR model. This was just more about how I think about like trading themes.
Okay, so ASST, if the ATM comes out, so this is an edge from coming from today. So if we hear the ATM, don't be super aggressive and trying to short it, because
I mean, I have no idea. I mean, it depends on what the others are doing. Like if, let's say BTC and MSTR are gapping down and selling off, well, then in that case, maybe the ATM kills the momentum. I don't know.
I think the way I look at it is they did it too when Bitcoin ran. What was the companies? Riot and Mara. They just had ATM after ATM after ATM. And it would just soak up and continue, soak up and continue.
Yeah.
It's low-key, it's sounding like a housing bubble. It's securities and securities and securities. So much is connected to the BTC connection. Yeah, I think it's a good red flag that you brought up. I never thought about, if I see an ATM, I'm not going to be super aggressive. Or if I am, it's just going to be for cautionary for that day. If I see soap, I'm not going to fight it. Any other takeaway, guys, from how we can capitalize moving forward next week, whether it's from fundamental or pattern behavior.
One thing I'll say about ASST though, and how I might trade it though, is so obviously it's a huge chart now. So if we start getting to like the back side of the move and like the chart is breaking down like on a daily, almost like GPUS is kind of like starting to break down. If we get to that scenario and all the others are breaking down, that's probably going to be a good short because they are going to put out a new shelf soon. And so that will be like a negative catalyst. And the catalyst will be much more negative when the chart is on the back side of the move, right? So those, I look for those setups when the daily chart is breaking down. But right now it's still pretty strong.
Are you talking about this?
What?
Am I screen sharing? I think I am.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, GPUS. Yeah, it's starting to get close. Lucas pointed this one out.
Interesting.
I think that one's looking pretty primed for a sell-off.
Yeah.
And then they have that vote in a
Bitcoin
week.
related?
This one is it?
I don't know. Tell me.
I can't remember. That's
Okay.
it. This is Alt's company, Milton Alt, the guy at DPW.
yeah.
This is actually old DPW.
No way.
So
Oh
yeah,
my God.
so this actually
Yo.
so it is Bitcoin sort of. DPW was like one of the main 2017 crypto runners.
That's a
Along with
super
MLR.
dilutive name, bro. That
Yeah.
had ratchet clause. Yo, that's the reason why I wanted to get ratchet clause. If they missed their payment, the payment would balloon to 35%. You remember? That was crazy. The convertible debt holders would get 35% on their money, and they would get shares if they can't pay it. Super dilutive.
So
process.
GPUS, yeah, GPUS has a very toxic convertible debt right now too. So it can be converted at like 40 cents. But they're voting on that. So they have a vote on May 19th to approve that. Because right now they can't really do anything.
Convertible preferred
And
floor
Jason-
price at 10 cents.
As soon as this is approved, can they immediately dump it then? Are they registered and all that?
Yeah, I think they're pending effect. So it's pretty close.
Okay, something to watch and for the state. Keep
It doesn't
on
have
watch.
A lot
options,
of
right? Bro, I hope it has
Huh?
options. It doesn't have options, does it? Probably not.
I don't think so.
No, it's a 1 point something million float.
Oh, GG. Okay, guys, Abel, Lucas, any other secret sauce that you guys have you want to share? Any from behavior, technical, any aspect that we can make money from? We don't make money on Mondays, so we got to go to Tuesdays, brother. Give us the Tuesdays tips, no Monday tip.
I have seen like this last week a lot of gappers that are not fading throughout the day. They end up fading after hours. Like
NBV on
And
Friday.
VVE.
Yeah.
Right, it faded a lot.
Also,
Also VVE with the offering
it's YTA
On
as
Thursday.
well, a little bit.
and CNA
But do we really want
after
to
the squeeze.
After hours, bro, that's when you get caught. You'll get effed. Especially because, yeah.
I think that if you were very selective, and I mean, I think that this is a market where you really need to be very careful, because I will do an example. I was shorting an NTXX on Friday. Man, I didn't know it was related with Bitcoin. I didn't realize. I was checking, I didn't see any news. I saw they put some 10K, I think, or 10Q, I don't remember. But there was no news.
Which ticker?
And I assume it was like a pump and dump. Then
Which ticker? Can you spell
volume
it
was
out?
insane.
NT.
NTXX, sorry. And volume was insane. I mean, it made 1,500%. And I was thinking,
It's not
"Fuck, what did I
NTNX.
miss on this shit?"
Can you spell it, please?
NXTT.
NXTT, yeah. That's the one.
And man,
Short
only I
squeeze.
realized when I'm checking Twitter and I see, through the ticker, and I see that apparently because in the 10K they put that they bought Bitcoin. Like, fuck, how am I supposed to read this by myself?
Yeah.
So you need to be very careful. Like
And
made
also,
1,500%.
I think we should avoid this thing, bro. This 50 cent halt band and bullish cycle. This is honestly, this is the long that I was looking for. Halt, and first dip it gets.
I mean,
Then that's when you buy. You can buy this dip, bro. All day you can buy this dip because shorts are. Buy the dip against VWAP or at VWAP. This one.
I just like that they had a lot of outstanding shares.
And you were the one who was saying that we were getting to the top of the cycle though, and you're gonna long this. I thought you'd be shorting this.
Yeah, you were on Friday
yes.
short.
Yes. Okay. I didn't mention this. No, I did. No, I did, but only on the weaker names. But this name, JJ, I was looking when the market was hot. I was looking for longs, and I was actually long multiple times. ASST and a bunch of other names. But the 15 cent halt bands, are so tricky, so tricky.
It didn't really halt so much in general, this ticker, man, because the float, I mean, not the
Bro,
float, but the outstanding shares is quite big.
this is not halt. One halt, second halt, third halt, fourth
I
halt.
mean, it did some halt,
Seven,
hold a
nine,
few
10.
times, but I mean that it's not like, I don't know, it was halting all the time and it was
It halted 20
untradeable.
times or so. That's
20 times.
more than enough.
The reason for this is because of the 15 cent. Any stock that closes
Yeah, I know.
yesterday below 75 cents. But no, JJ, to be honest with you, anybody that has not, I will say this openly. If you lose money, blame JJ or blame somebody else. If it makes it was my call. I would actually recommend increasing your risk. But if you're in a bad mental space and you've taken 3-4 daily max loss, thankfully all of us have risk management and we have, we're only risk is a small part of our account. But if you feel like you're in a bad mental space, I don't recommend it. But anybody else, I think you should. I think the next, maybe not Monday, I don't know. I don't really believe in that Monday stuff, but I'm not sure. But the point is, I 100%, I hold true to that. I think it is a time to increase your risk. Because if we are anticipating it, the perfect thing to do is the same thing as we're playing liquidity events. So don't just try to guess the top when we'll have fader days. To me, in my head, Friday was a fader day, to be honest. We had 2 tickers that faded 50%, 60%. That hurts some of the longs. So yeah.
One other thing about this, and when there's like almost too many shares to unload, like that's also something to be a little cautious of, because like 132 million shares, like how are they going to sell that? I don't know if you guys remember, this is like, it was like 6 or 8 months ago or something. Kind of similar situation where they literally had like 100 million shares to get rid of, and the stock like ran kind of just like this one. It's actually still hanging around. I was still watching it just to see what would happen with it. But yeah, I mean, the other thing too is we don't know who bought these shares, so we don't know like if they're just going to sell it. Maybe they want to be invested in this company.
Okay, let's summarize this, amigos. Go ahead, Martin.
Jason,
Something?
can we quickly continue talking about this ticker, because this could be a huge opportunity next week, Monday, Tuesday, whenever it is ready. They have about 135 million shares to dump probably. I mean, someone is holding them, like you said, and they're not in the float most likely yet. Otherwise, they wouldn't. This move on Friday wouldn't have been possible, right? Dilution Tracker says float right now is 7 million shares, and they have 400 million outstanding.
Which ticker, please?
NXT, what we just were talking about. And I'm trying to figure out what the agenda here could be, and probably it is to spike up the price as high as they can, to create as much liquidity as they can, to trap as many shorts as they can, and then start unloading, right? I guess that's the agenda. Or what do you think, Jason?
I have no idea. I'm going to take a deeper look tomorrow morning, but like at the moment, without any evidence, there's no real like, there's no evidence that they even want to sell. Like, just because somebody has a lot of shares doesn't always mean they're going to sell them. Like, we know that that's usually the case with these crappy, like, companies that are doing offerings over and over again, cashless warrants. The same people, Armsys, Ansys, like, we know those guys. We know what they do. We know they buy shares and then they sell them. They get warrants and they sell them. There's too many unknowns with this, right? They traded Bitcoin for shares, and that's all we know. We know that they have a bunch of shares that they traded for a Bitcoin for. And without any history, like if, for example, we knew who the holder was and we saw that they were involved in another similar deal with another company, and then we saw what happened with that company, okay, now we have like a legitimate thesis. But right now, like absent any other evidence, can't really, at least for me personally, can't really make a plan based on that, I'll be looking into it deeper though tonight and tomorrow to see if there is anything there for sure, because it is a lot of shares, and now they're up a lot of money. Now they're up like 1,000. They're up 1,000%. So that in and of itself would probably mean that, like, why wouldn't they want to sell? But yeah.
Also, it's a Chinese ticker, and that alone for me is enough to assume some shady business.
I'll probably look into who owns the shares and then just see if I can find anything else about them, like any other tickers they've been involved with, and see if we can find anything.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that's strange. I'm looking at it right now. I don't see. I see Univest on the up list, but I don't see anybody else, any other underwriters.
You can also misread that and be like, uninvest in this company right away.
Yeah.
We are these bankers. Yeah, they said they're gonna buy Bitcoins and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's gapped up massive. Anybody that holds some, I would assume they would take profit tomorrow and get into the proper levels. Is there anything you guys want to...
Faded back nicely on after hours from the highs after hours highs,
Yeah.
still above the closing price. I don't know, 50% higher. I would not rule out that they trap again on Monday. Maybe make it appear weak pre-market or they open and then trap more shorts and ramp it again as long as the float is small, 7 million or so. They can play these games as long as until they start unloading shares. And yeah, this is definitely have to be careful again on Monday, and I would careful to short into weakness on this, but it's definitely on watch Monday, Tuesday. It will probably go back to 50
So
cents.
this used to be ETG. This I'm pretty sure this was a Chinese pump and dump.
Wait, didn't you say it was DPW?
Yeah,
Do you guys remember WETG?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wedgie, China.
Yeah, that's this ticker. I don't know why it's not showing up in our former symbols, but
Just look at the daily chart. It's ridiculous. They have several liquidation days in between. It's reverse splits.
yeah.
50K, fun stuff. Okay, amigos, if there's nothing in specific, let's move on forward, please. Anything else? No specific comments on NXTG, TG? Okay, I'm assuming not. So we went over the biggest opportunity. I want to summarize our group takeaway. Please, if you guys feel like I missed something, let me know. The takeaway as a group, since consensus was, hey, if it's Bitcoin and Bitcoin's running, don't try to fight it. Even if they offer ATM, sure, you could short for intraday, but don't be added to the winner because it could be it's a sector move. The theme, basically, all these companies are buying Bitcoin and they're just leveraging up to consistently buy Bitcoin for whatever reason. I don't know. We could draw some random conclusions. If it's illegal money, XYZ, whatever the heck it is, doesn't matter. Stay away from that for now. But when the sector washes, when Bitcoin washes, we'll hit it. We'll hit these names. We'll know which ones are leveraged. So they basically have a derivative in the stock in Bitcoin. In terms of longs, we didn't really discuss. Oh, the other thing about shorts is, and my view was, if we have multiple gappers, 60-70%, we could short them. My takeaway was you could be more aggressive if you're in a good mental space, which means that you haven't taken like 4 or 5 daily max losses in a short period of time, which should not be normal. Anytime you take like 2-3 daily max loss, you should reduce your size. But it's been tough. A lot of people, if you have taken some losses, I have the opportunity to see what happens in the back end. It's been a tough week or so. So don't feel too crappy that if you're having a tough time. But improvement is always there. In terms of the long, what I've noticed was basically, they're just running. There's not much real trap. It's just pushes off the open and it works. And Martin pointed out, it's the float rotation in conjunction with dilution and volume. Okay. Now, is there anything I missed, amigos? Anybody else wants to speak up?
Did we talk about the ticker SRXH?
SRXH. Yeah, this was on Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also, this one was also crypto related, and if you just think about like waiting for some sort of push or trap, you probably lose the big fade. And I think one key thing was that the PR was like announced an intention to create subsidiary for crypto-based borrowing. So it had just intentions, but they were not like the other ones that actually were doing it.
Beautiful catch.
I think, it's very different to have like intentions and actually doing it like MSTR.
Yeah. The other thing about this is they also had a pipe placement. Somebody gave them $8.8 million in April 25th, and the market cap right now is like, I guess, 24 mil. So they can't sell that pipe, I think, for 6 months unless it gets registered.
They issued 28 million shares in the merger because this used to be BTTR. You guys remember that one? And I was surprised, but I couldn't find a lockup on those shares.
There was none.
Yeah, I was watching it. It's pretty hard to trade though. I didn't touch it. It was just like kind of skipping around and like doing the halt stuff. Kind of tough to find a good spot to get in.
Unless you short the open and put 30% stop if you think it's a good stop.
yeah, it's true. But how do you know you're gonna get stopped out though when it's halting?
If I had JJ's and JJ stock selection, I would honestly do that. I'll put 30% stop. I don't care.
Short the open, 30% stop.
It's simple.
You can't do that though in this hot market. Maybe in a bit of a weaker market.
Exactly. And I think because we're getting into that weaker market, JJ, I think you should look into that.
Should use the 100% stops. Michael Good was saying he's in a room with these opening print boys, and he said that they use 100% stops, and he said that it works.
It does until it doesn't, because on the days that they get stopped out, they lose 20% of the count because they trade like 5-6 tickers a day.
I just don't see how the math works out though. Because you're making what would you make on that? Like usually like 15%, 20%.
No, on average, if you short, the other they've advanced it a little bit, so they use other criterias. So if it hits a certain EMA, then they short it. So they're not just shorting it, or they short the spike or something. There's alterations there. Nobody's fully dumb, Data stuff, quant stuff, I realize is not as dumb as it gets. But most people I know use 30%, and there are guys that use 100%. I think on average, if you use other variables, basically, I think you probably make 25%, 20%. I don't know the exact number, but you make that off of the fade. We see when you click the range, you get 50% fade, 30% fade. You average it down ballparking.
Well, I think you would have to look at you should probably know this is what's the median or average close? Isn't it like negative 10% or something like that? Because they also cover at close, right?
Yeah, but you have to look at it from when the entry point was.
Oh yeah.
So it's not just simple as print. On a weaker cycle, 30% would probably work with your stock selection. Anyway, if you guys don't mind, I want to move forward with the next one. For the long, basically, just if it's float rotating and it either sets a trap below view up, or if it float rotates and it's pushing higher, you can long it. Let's go best trade, worst trade, no commentary. Just so when you're talking about your best trade, what process did you have on it? Why was it best trade? And if it's your worst trade, which process you didn't follow? And then if you can also point out a setup that has been working or a best opportunity, that'd be awesome. Brother JJ, you want to start?
All right.
Anybody else that's not going, feel free to find your best trades, worst trade. Are you streaming?
Yeah. Is it working?
Yep, it's working.
Still on?
Yep.
Probably KTTA was my best one. Not even just because of the gain. I followed my process here. They thought this was fine. My stop. Yeah, I mean, that's nothing else really to say except I followed what I generally do, which is try to wait for some weakness and breaking down and get in and then set my stop. And then I have a couple of worse ones. I all did the same thing, so I'm not sure which one to focus on, but maybe this one. Just moving my stop. Like my stop was high a day, and I just moved it twice. So it's funny. I actually would have never gotten stopped out. It ended up doing this. I don't know if I would have held after hours, but yeah. Just moving my stop. What was that?
I said, I coughed and I said, if you had a 30%, wouldn't have stopped out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't even know what that would have been from here, but yeah, I'm usually risking high a day, but I do move it, which is fine. I can get into this another time about how I'm going to think about adjusting my stop, because I think early on the wider stop, but then once the chart structure develops and it's failed already, then you can use a tighter stop on a secondary ad, right? Yeah. That's what I'm going to work on, because I think I've just been crunching some numbers and looking through some charts, and it could have a pretty huge impact on.
Keep it simple, stupid. 221 would have been your stop if you had just shorted the open and you thought it had dilution. 221, and then once it gets below VWAP or something like that, then you could use the high of the day as a risk, and you'd be even on this lack.
So 2 entries, yeah.
You don't have to. Any setups that you see or any missed opportunities where you're like, I should have really go to your best opportunity, missed opportunity.
Like I said, this one, I still don't think there's a play here, because I anticipated that it would settle around 30 cents. I didn't think it would go down here, so I don't think this was a missed opportunity. I still posted it just because.
What about 30% stop and then closing into the fade? 30% stop would have been 53 cents.
On SHPA.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, I guess. It's just like, I didn't include the pre-market chart, but this was down from like $1.
Yeah. Those are the best ones to fade, because if it pushes everybody that's bagged that wants to sell.
Yeah. Miss stuff.
Biggest opportunity.
Yeah, nothing else, I don't think. Was there anything else? This was last week, so yeah, not really. Yeah, I don't know what I'm looking forward to. I think I like the GPUS daily chart setting up. Other than that, yeah, it's not anything I'm really like super excited about. I'm not really crazy about these theme type markets. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Who wants to go next, Lucas or Arsenal? Arsalan.
Yeah,
I can go next if you guys want.
Sure. I'll be brief. Anyways, my week was probably one of my worst weeks of trading. Essentially, the best trade should have been, but it wasn't. TTA. I didn't wait for the
Are
structure.
you streaming? Because we don't see
Hey,
it.
let me. Oh, sorry. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say this was the best fader all day. It's just that, I mean, all week. It's just that it pushed so hard from the open. I was patient on the push, which is why I would say this was a really bad trade. I was patient on it. All I had to do was just wait for the structure to develop and hold my stop wide enough, which I didn't do. I kept my, you can't really tell within the chart, but I kept my stop very tight, and the price action just kept taking me out to the point where I let my emotions get the best of me, and I had a ticker max loss, so I couldn't get back in, and I missed out on everything here. And I think what that led to was a cycle of events that kind of gave me a bit of a tilt from the events that preceded this week.
Before you move
And-
on, the thing,
Yeah.
go back, the process, what would so the process was the thing, this is a shitty trade because you didn't wait for the price action to tell you what your risk is, right?
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Okay.
And and in terms of good trade, I lost every day this week, so there wasn't really much for me. In terms of just, I'm actually at the point where I'm back to trial and error to get some confidence back. Very small size, and just stick to the process. And the second I see things working out again, then I'll gradually add size again, because there's no point of operating under emotion like I have been this week. This is just, I think when things go against me, like here, for example, when you're up quite a bit, like I think I was up like $1.50 a share on this trade here, and then it goes against me. I think what ends up happening mentally, and this is just me kind of guessing here, is I feel entitled to getting that money back, and then common sense just leaves the room, and that's what I think happens with me.
And that's normal. Happens to everybody. It's been a shitty week, but don't beat yourself up. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
Other than that, I agree with everything else you guys are saying in terms of, I think that this is just a cycle. I wasn't too familiar with the Bitcoin theme early on in the week. I was seeing everyone's messages and stuff, but I didn't put enough weight on it until I saw NXT and what NXTT did. Then now I'm starting to think, okay, like maybe either avoid the theme or long it a little bit, try and get something out of it. Yeah, I've been leaning towards that direction. But other than that, I'm probably just going to avoid shorting that theme unless it has like a press release, like how Lucas pointed out, with intention, or like something to do with, like, that sounds like complete bullshit.
I wouldn't long. Okay, taking a step back, how are you doing? Are you comfortable conversating about stuff like
Yeah. It's been
How
bad.
you
Yeah,
feeling?
I mean,
mentally?
not too good. I'm not feeling good. If it wasn't for means of work outside of the market, it would be much harder. But since I have a way of making a living outside, it helps. But at the same time, I feel very what's the word for it? It's not something I'm used to seeing, right? Like, I'm not sure how to even approach the situation other than just slow down and just cut my size up to like 100 shares or something, like a simulation type thing, and just kind of see if things go back to normal, or where if I can even find some sort of edge, right? You start to doubt yourself naturally.
Yeah, and understandably so. If anybody was in your shoes, and the guys see it, we're all brothers here, and we're all trying to hold each other accountable. It's easy to stay here and be like, hey, do XYZ, but I don't think if you're not in a bad mental space, I don't. Definitely, in my opinion, try not to long. But your weakness is all these entries and guessing the top prior to the price action. If you get stopped out, what I would say is be in a bigger time frame. Reduce your size by half. We'll have a conversation after this. Like, hey, bro, I want my risk to be cut by this much. I would not reduce it by half. I would reduce it by 30%, because there's one is our mental health, and then there's market. If you believe that the market is about ready to be on the other side, I would reduce it, not 50%, maybe 30%. But the other thing is, let intraday price action dictate the risk, not pre-market price action, not anything else, just intraday price action. And wait for, like, be on a 15-minute time frame. Like at the open, you can be on a smaller time frame, but just zoom out.
Yeah.
But later on, try to be on like a 3-minute, 5-minute if you're in 1 minute, and then maybe 15 minutes. Always let price action dictate the risk, not based on your perspective. And just don't beat yourself up. As I've said, you are not the only one that has taken a lot of red days in the past few weeks. Quite a few good traders have hit daily max loss, and it sucks. There are mistakes, there are user errors. For other users' errors, they were like sticking to the stock that was really bullish or hot. I think you pointed out your own mistake really well. You're kind of anticipating the price action, anticipating the risk, or it's not a big enough, like it hasn't made a lower low in whatever time frame you're entering. So those are user errors. But yeah, overall, you're gonna have another 20,000, 50,000 trades. You'll be okay. Awesome.
Thanks.
Appreciate you sharing.
No problem, guys.
Okay, brother Lucas.
Yeah, sure. I was just gonna comment on your review that, like, I think I'm on the same shoes as you are, because I can see pretty clear that after you messed up with ATTA, your mental state was like focusing on that tray that ends up like snowballing into a series of bad trades. And I think the most important thing is to, and also for me, is that just not to like do something to focus more on the positive. Like try to, once you get a good trade, try to, that's also for me, to focus on, okay, I did a really good trade here. Because if I start focusing on that bad trade, it's like a never-ending cycle of negativity. So next good trade you get, try to focus on that. Like, okay, I did a really good trade here, and I'm gonna focus on that good trade that I took. Because I mean, this trading thing is so mental. It's like, yeah, so I can see the pattern there that once you got the KTTA bad trade, that snowball effect. So next good trade you get, try to focus on that. Like, okay, I did a great job here in this trade. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, we'll do.
And also looking back at like the past 3 months, like how's the performance been in the 3 months, right? It's been decent. So yeah. Lucas, you want to screen share?
Yeah, sure.
So best trade, worst trade, process-wise, and then if there's a missed opportunity, best missed opportunity.
Okay. I always forget how to
It's the middle one. If you're on a Chrome.
Let me see. It says here share screen, but I click there and nothing shows.
It pops up something. It pops up and it asks you.
Okay, yeah. Alright, so pretty much my worst trade definitely was WeBuy, and pretty much you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So pretty much my plan was that I'm gonna have multiple bullets given the range and the price action. So first I went very small here versus pre-market high, didn't work. Okay. Then I went here on this trend break, didn't work. I'm okay. Then I think I try here again, didn't work. Okay. I still could attack it like one more time, and pretty much I think I missed it because I was already in a negative state here, because I have my order, like I had a limit order before this pop. Like I had it like at 26.70, and it popped to 20, like it popped 20 cents below my entry. And I pretty much, the reason that I missed it is because I was already negative, and I didn't react to the price action, because I could have easily got in here if I was not stubborn, wanting my entry at 26.70. I could have easily got in here, knowing that like I was gonna hold on to the close, knowing that all of the gappers of this sticker has closed below the open. So there was no excuse of me getting at 25 instead of 26.70, and I just missed it because I was complaining. But yeah, that's pretty much my worst trade, because I could have, like on Friday, if I just had my entry at 25 and hold it to the close, I would probably close green on that day.
Lucas, do you find a better entry other than 27.70 where you were choking to?
Yeah, so after this pretty much double top here, I could have easily got in at 25.
Yeah.
Or even,
yes.
Yeah, even here, at, like knowing that it should fade below the open.
Yes.
Like that was my thesis. My thesis was it was gonna fade below the open at the end of the day.
The close. Yeah. So you could have gotten into the pop. So one thing that I would say, if you were looking for feedback, if it pops to 27.70, 20.80, whatever, like 27.80 something, I remember we were trying to short it. That previous structure that I was showing, I think those are better expected value shorts. The lower when it this 20.
Like right here.
No, a little first pop. Like when I was presenting, I was saying everybody that's above is begged.
Yeah, like around here.
Perfect. Yeah. A little high. Yeah, something like that. Exactly. Something below that is way better, bro. That entry is way better
Yeah.
because anybody that long did all of that volume, everybody above higher, they're all underwater, bro. They have to exit. They
Yeah,
have
totally.
to exit. Yeah.
100%.
Rather than waiting for a little higher pop, because now you have price action telling you that, hey, this is just top heavy. It just makes
and
you
then you
accurate.
get totally 100%, man. And then you get this gift like from 15 to 10, like I was not expecting until 10, but yeah, it's
The longs are using the low the day as a risk, which is freaking perfect.
yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. That's probably my worst trade. Let's see, my best trade was probably.
By the way, we only see Thinkorswim. We don't see your execution if you're showing another chart.
I'm trying to hold on. Let me share my execution here. That was my best trade.
You got some nice 13 RR
And,
days there.
yeah, on Tuesday that really helped. That day I pretty much execute everything like except KTTA, but I'm not sure. Probably EV. I'm not.
The way to do it is just go look at your RR, whichever one's the biggest one, and see if that. You should do that beforehand, brother. See if those are good.
Yeah, AREB,
NCNA,
AREB,
NCNA, and an XTO, NITO.
and ITO. Yeah, it was pretty a quiet fader.
Why was this your best trade? What process did you follow? Were you risking below VWAP, risking the open, risking what?
Yeah, I was risking like initially 60 cents, and this day it had a very clear level at 55 cents. And I have seen like these multi-day low price stocks that sometimes when they get a first red day, they fade like they fade a lot. So like I was using 55 level. Then once here when it was like pretty much like then I added here versus the top right in the low of previous day, and I pretty much covered like it was I just pretty much using the levels. I don't think I had a best trade. Probably would be KTTA if I had like the patience to give in that volume that day.
Okay. You don't think you have the best trade?
Yeah. But still, a key point is focusing on the worst trades because those are the things that I don't want to repeat.
But it's also good to know what you did well on.
Yeah.
That way. So I really like your BLMZ trade. Was nice. Waiting for a pop. I don't know what you were risking.
A high of day.
Yeah, that's a very nice
You
risk.
can see like that every volume, like every big volume pop is a red candle. You can see on the chart.
AREB was good. I think you were anticipating an offering of ARB or something like that.
And which one?
AREB.
I just felt like this ticker won't run anymore, and it was a clear level right there at 416, and it topped there at pre-market. So I pretty much had the conviction that it was not gonna run. So I went a little bit heavier in that ticker.
Awesome. Yeah, try to focus on your positives too, bro, because it's much easier to emulate your strength than it is to try to correct your weakness.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy. But overall, you're doing well. I think, we talk in private and the emotions are doing much better. Your P&L performance, you have some tough days, but you're doing very phenomenal. You should be very proud of yourself. You're hitting your goals. You're hitting your goals, and you're hitting your goals that I think you were long-term hoping to hit. And,
Yes.
And what a crazy move, to go from be like, hey, I'm gonna do small cap shorting to hitting the goal was like, should have been like a long-term thing. You hit it in like a 2-month in, which is pretty badass. So what we're doing is working, and every trader has a different thing. For anybody that's curious, that's on the call, is we just kept the risk the same because emotions were high. I hope, Lucas, you don't mind me sharing that because it'll help other people too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay, awesome.
That helped. I just wanted to add here. You guys can see my chart on Thinkorswim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much this trade I was using this level right here from this day. And also, I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but it was a huge bid pre-market, and the price was not even moving higher. And that also gave conviction. Like pretty much, it was at like a huge beat at 4, and the price was not moving higher. Yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Brother Martin, you want to go next?
Yeah. Yeah, best trade for me was probably also KTTA this week. Why was it a good trade? Well, first of all, I catch the offering, which was maybe a bit lucky. I did one thing I did not so well was to have a cover order in here, the 280, which took out half of the position, I think. But I re-added it, and this is what I did well here on this trade. I re-added it on the unhold at around 215. The pricing of the offering was 140, and I re-added back some. I covered some here and here, and re-added back here and up here, and added a bit more on this one. This was my best trade, and the other thing I want to talk about is a missed opportunity on ASST on day one. This was a common pattern the past few weeks, the short trap and the reclaim above VWAP, and I tried it long here. I was a bit too early, but this was short. This was also short, but I lost more on this long than on these short scalps. I had a feeling somehow that this might not be done yet. It was holding up suspiciously well, but I was just an hour too early, and unfortunately at around this time I was a little bit distracted with something else, so I missed this move, this reclaim. But this was a pattern we should be aware of in the coming weeks. If we see something like this going below VWAP with very high volume and then holding and then reclaiming into the close, this is something to be, especially for us shorts, to be careful of. At least get out of the short of a certain level if it reclaims, let's say here to 230 or so. At latest at this point, something was off for the short thesis, and the next step would be, of course, to even long such a setup. But I mean, for me, that's still difficult to do mentally because I have, a strong short bias on this most of the day. But yeah, this is something to improve and to be more flexible with my thesis and the bias. And especially next 1 or 2 weeks, I will watch out for this kind of traps to at least not get trapped myself and ideally even take a long on these ones. Yeah. That's all.
Awesome. Is this your?
This was neither a good or a bad trade. I just wanted to share this setup, this pattern
This is
on
good.
ASST.
Yeah, this is good. When it's above intraday and the other VWAP, and it clearly, if you feel it's trapped, good aura. I can imagine what you would have made if you had the same size and held up. Okay, awesome. Anything in terms of big missed opportunities, Martin?
Yeah, we had a few faders that I did not trade probably every day this week. This is another thing, often we try to fight the strongest stocks, right? We shorts, and often miss out on the easiest faders. And this is also something to work on, to maybe leave, especially the first 60 to 90 minutes, leave the strongest tickers alone, at least on the short side.
Yes.
And look for tickers that maybe are already fading pre-market and tickers that don't have such a high float to volume ratio, and tickers that also have dilution. And yeah, I missed a few. Buy was a nice fader, SH on Friday, and also the other days. But yeah, I don't have anything specific in mind. But also these reclaims, this short trap and reclaims, there are some long traders who make a lot of money with that. And this is something also I would like to get better and improve, at least stay out of it. Stay at least not getting trapped myself in a short on this for too long, getting out early on such a reclaim. And ideally, going long and at least with small size for now, just to get feeling and some confidence longing microcaps.
Awesome. Beautiful takeaway. I think that's a very good rule. And then I think I'm going to probably incorporate. I do incorporate. It's like the first 60 minutes, anything that's strong, or 30, 45 minutes, something like just leave it alone. Let the structure fully develop. Let intraday price action develop the risk. Top is clear, then get in. Very, very good. And the weaker one's the one that we think, it's not going to fade so much because it's down, given that there's like still up 50-60%, it's better to short those. Yeah. Awesome. Brother Abel, you're muted if you're talking.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I'm here, man. So, okay, let me share my screen. Let me, guys, if you see. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting in the way that I will say that my best is one of the tickers. Some people said is the worst. My worst is one of the people that say the best. So, my best trade, I will say, was SST. This day is I think it was this, it was the day of the conference call, right? That they were going to do exactly around this area, right? I mean, 2:30 was the ending. So I was expecting some kind of buy the rumor, sell the news on this one. So I started some here, but to be honest, I was not even really so interested, but I thought that still there is, like a starter of, maybe some weakness then, and I will just add if it keeps going down. But to be honest, I cut it quite fast because I was not so convinced even. Like, I think it was day 2. And the thing is that I started some here. I took out small here, but my idea was as soon as the conference will finish, I will expect the typical weakness on the tape and then like drop. Truth is that when exactly in this moment is when it finished the conference, so I was adding quite a lot to this position. But after only this kind of nearly half an hour, like I could see price action was not the way it should be. The truth is that it should be super weak and even like big drops, panicking after the conference, but it wasn't like that. So I knew something is not right. I scale out some here, and basically I put the tie stop here. For the rest is that I am like Martin said before, man. I need to I need to improve on my long because at the end even here I know like okay I need to get out fast because I think many people are going to be trapping this now. Like everybody with the same thinking process as me. That this should be dying now. So I mean, this is the day that it went crazy after, and I look at it and I'm thinking, fuck, like I knew it's very dangerous stock. The way it was moving here, it's like that it's not the way it's supposed to be. So I'm just happy that basically I didn't lose anything here, and I know that it could have been a very nasty loss in this one. Is I will just show like how it really went because I cannot see you cannot really see there, right? But it was somewhere here, right? So basically it went to the next day it was 6, right? After hours and everything. Yeah, it was crazy. But anyway, that I would say was my best. My worst first was TTA in the way that I knew the like this was an offer in play, so I was too aggressive in the front side. So yeah, I was putting quite a lot of size, and then I completely missed the drop. So I even had locates like super cheap because I was as soon as I saw it around here and I checked all the files and everything, I knew that this had a huge potential. So and I was even patient. Like I didn't start. Normally I would start earlier here, but I was waiting for some kind of push first. Yeah. So I completely didn't expect they would do it in this moment because I thought, okay, I will enter after, like in the evening. So I completely missed this. I just, was milking a bit the backside because I had locates for cheap, right? So it was one of my worst. And another was NXTT. My mistake, what I did wrong in this trade was that I guess my due diligence was not perfect in the way that I completely missed that it was related with Bitcoin. Normally, I'll be honest, when I check a ticker and I see nothing, no news, I normally go to Twitter and I see what people are talking about on the ticker, like just to make sure like why it's moving, right? And I would have realized that it's related with Bitcoin. I got like I made a mistake in that aspect. So I even thought here is topping, and yeah, I ate this push. Like I would say, still my entries were good because I was waiting for some topping, like here and then after this is a pattern I like to short a lot actually, and it's when there is like some crazy move and it's like hold down and then this kind of bounce right after the hold down. And here I was expecting that maybe would go all the way at least to like this area of 0.9. And it doesn't look so good now, but because of this crazy push after. But yeah, I mean, I cut it quite fast to be honest. So yeah, still I was trading more size this day because it was Friday. I thought that it was the day for more faders after this whole week. Yeah, I just completely missed that it was related with Bitcoin. So also Nito, I think it's also one of my best trades, but at the same time, yeah, I lost a lot on it. But I think that I wouldn't change anything in this one. I will trade the same way if I have to do it again, because this was a warrants play with warrants in much lower prices. So I know that statistically it will tend to always die. And I waited for weakness and then I added a VWAP and I completely follow my plan of, I know the chances are big. So I had much bigger position and I had stops even on like different spots because I didn't want to be checking out. So yeah, I lost much more on this one because of that. But even after took me out here and it went all the way back here, I kept my portion from here because I know that statistically I need to follow this. Like I always need to do this. So I will make more money in the 200 trades that I do like this rather than be taken out. So one of my biggest losses this week, but still I think was one of my biggest trades. So yeah, I will say hard week. And so yeah, these are my best trades basically are a loss and avoiding a loss. You were not here, African, but I was saying that I was this day shorting, waiting for the conference. So I added a lot here. And then price action I didn't like at all because it should have exactly here is when the conference finished. I thought I would die, and you could feel that the tape was not the way it should be. So I scale out a bit here because I added quite a lot, and the rest just like nearly break even. My only mistake here not longing because this is the day that here, and it went to 6 the next day market. So yeah, that was crazy. Anyway, these are my trades. So I will say yeah, hard week. Okay, but
Are you going to increase your risk or reduce your risk the next week?
I think it's hard. I think I will just keep the same. I will try to be very selective and be careful. Okay, I will work into two things. I think that I really need to lose my fear of longing because I know that I tend to be like Martin. I have this bias of the short side and blocks me too long. And I think I will start to long a bit even with super tiny size just to feel that it's okay. I don't know how to explain that. That I'm not. Just to lose the fear to pull the trigger. On the long side. And this is only for stock that I have this feeling like this one. Let's say, oh, it shouldn't be like this. So maybe I will try to long some to see how I do. And yeah, I will just be more selective. And still, if I see an A plus that I feel that is an A plus, like
I think you should increase risk, bro. I've seen your charts. You may think you're underperforming because you're red or break even. But as I said, a lot of good traders have been hitting daily max loss. You have been on break even side. So I think moving forward in the next week, wait for some things to fade, but everything, like combining everything what Martin said in the morning, the first half hour if something is strong, just leave it alone. Hit the weaker ones, especially on a day when you have multiple gappers and they're like above 70% and you're hitting it and it has like 70% range, 60% gap still around that. Hit them hard.
yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't long. If the cycle says that it's long, go for it. But if you
I mean,
think
I'm
it's
just saying whenever very specific loans. It's not that I don't know every shit that is popping up. But when I know that I don't know that the volume is insane, and and I know everything saying don't short. Maybe
yeah, the conference thing, I
I,
long that too above Vivo for the same reason that you
yeah.
mentioned.
A floor rotation above BWAP, and maybe no dilution, of course. Like say like NX, right? Like
And then also it should have faded after conference and people were waiting and its extension, blah blah blah.
yeah, and like let's say like this rigger guy was saying when we were on voice, right? That he looks like where short people are in pain, right?
Yes.
And it's what I felt when I was on ASST, right? And I thought, wow, fuck, everybody is gonna be grown on this one,
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay. Let's wrap it up. Summarize if you don't mind. Let's inverse backwards. Let's go, Lucas. In 2 sentences, what was your takeaway from the Sunday recap? Brother Lucas, your mic's not working, or I don't. Martin, you want to go next, brother?
What is my summary today? Well, let's call it my learnings for this week is to be careful of these short traps, knowing that there are a few big traders exploiting shorts, and they have a very good method to figure out when shorts are trapped and when the stock has traded enough volume versus the float. They soak up a lot of shares and then they just repeat back to highs. We had that many times this week. And what else? Yeah, focusing on the weaker ones, the ones who have relative weakness regarding price action and volume is often the better way to short.
Okay. Yeah, focusing on weaker price actions. Yes. And would you be increasing risk starting next week?
No, I have enough risk left that I could increase if I use my full risk parameters, particular loss and daily loss.
Yeah, no, that's
Just
what I
need
meant. I meant no in the next few weeks, if the next week or the next 4 or 5 days, if we see faders, no more 0.3 RR risk, especially on the ones that are weaker. Always 0.7.
If we, I would say if we get, it's based on the quality of the setup, and a big component for that is for me always the dilution.
Yes. Okay.
Because I mean, if we have the obvious dilution the first 15 minutes of the open, or let's say maybe one clear out the first 50 minutes and then a really strong volume to the downside, then this is usually then a setup, A+ setup, where you can then take the half day and add to a winner. But lately it was difficult, especially with these 2 and 3 million float tickers and then these crypto tickers, theme tickers. It was difficult this week to really find conviction to really add, to risk 1 hour or more. But yeah, if this whole cycle changes a bit into weakness, then I would be happy to risk again more.
Okay. One other thing, bro. You're in your recap room. If you want to quickly guess how many days you went without writing your RR, you want to take a guess?
Yeah, no, I was aware of it and I was actually thinking about it. But, look at often, especially on a Friday, for example, I traded 5 tickers.
Only the first 2, bro. Only your first 2 entries. That's it. You don't have to do it for every single one. Your first 2 entries, because those are entries where you should be entering when the risk is clear, when the price action dictates it. If you did 10 entries, forget it. Just the first 2. And this will, because that's the one thing you're working on. Please go ahead. If you can go back and remember to do that, that'd be awesome. And you could reverse engineer on your winner and your loser. But make that a habit, bro. Because as we discussed last recap, if you consistently do it, there's no way you're not going to get better. But if you don't do it, then you're not gonna get better, right? So you gotta hit the reps in, even if you don't want to. And I know it's difficult for you. I know it's sleeping time. It's like you finish at 12 o'clock. I know it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I write it down already during the trading day, and then I just copy paste it into the post. But when I trade many tickers and also have several paper cuts, the first 60 minutes in and out, I know only the first 2 entries, but still often the first 2 entries, they are far away from full size yet, they are still front side entries, and then I just don't risk much. I just risk 0.25, 0.3 on my first 1 or 2 entries. Yeah. I don't risk more before I have the feeling that this is backside or at least potential backside, and then I can risk 0.5, 0.75 or more, depending on the potential dilution and all that.
Regardless of whatever it is, bro, if you want to improve, and you need to. There's no ifs and buts, no reason. Every single one of your trade, the first 2 entries, you need to write down your risk. You will improve in terms of your sizing. Do you disagree with that statement? And we'll just drop it at that, because I don't want to keep the guys for so long. Do you agree that will help you if you write down your risk every single day?
Yes.
So you're more calm. So then there's no ifs and buts, no reason. Go back and get it done today, brother. If you have Mother's Day plans, that's different.
All right.
Awesome. Brother Lucas, you're next. In 2 sentences, can you summarize today? What What was your takeaway? Lucas? Okay, Arsenal, can you go?
Yeah, sure. Today's takeaway is essentially for me, going through the drawdown. It's emphasizing the mental aspect of trading, and I think it's so important, right? Especially now for me to remind myself that the execution aspect is what it is. Like regardless of the numbers, the numbers behind it, we just reduce the amount of size, we take the emotion out, and I'm just gonna go back to executing with smaller size, and as soon as and obviously watch my risk, and as things work out, put side risk back on. I think that would be the best for me, instead of just kind of continuing with the same thing, because I want to prove to myself that that I deserve the risk. So that's just the takeaway for me personally.
Yeah. Just to give you a heads up, you had 5 or 6 green days back to back. You had a tough rough patch, and then you had 5, 6 green days, and then increased rest. And you had 3, 4 green days. Now you're on a big streak. So good takeaway. I think summary would be you gotta let price action dictate your risk. And then after the call, send me your new risk that you want, ticker max loss, daily max loss, and we'll get that adjusted.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then if you're able to get 2 red green days and you will feel like you want to increase risk, we can go harder if we feel market sentiment's good. Lucas, you still here, bro?
Yeah, my bad, guys. I had to go pick up my girlfriend. I'm in my car. A little bit bad signal, but I
Can you summarize in 2
can hear.
sentences?
You guys can hear me?
Yeah, we hear you nice and good. We're about to wrap up. In 2 to 3 sentences, what was today's takeaway?
Okay.
If you learned anything or anything that stuck out.
My takeaway would be I'm just know the things that I got to work, and it's mental aspect and be more flexible. Be more flexible, not so rigid, because then I'm gonna get in that like snowball effect where I just start executing bad and complaining, and then like if I'm just more flexible and positive and just focus on the things that I'm doing good, and that's my main focus next week. And with the things that we talk about, the Bitcoin sentiment, just be like, because we don't know like how it's gonna be next week, if it's the ending cycle or it's just gonna be next week also the same cycle. Just be present on what's going on. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I hope being on voice on recap helps you, because just you get to see that you're not the only one that's going through the crazy ups and downs. But yeah, beautiful takeaway. Perfectly said, and I think that would help you a lot. Focusing on positives. It's easier to increase our strength and keep repeating our strength. It doesn't take a lot of energy. Okay, I appreciate you guys. Happy Mother's Day. If you want to do something for your mom, please do so. Long session. We'll always try to improve. But hopefully everybody's getting a good takeaway. If any way we can improve, just post in the Sunday recap room. Want to inbox me. We'll go from there.
Take care, guys.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Have a nice one.
Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
If you guys made it so far, that means you liked it. Click subscribe. Let us know what we could do better. Take care. Thank you.